Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Turliuk, and welcome to the judging of the Core77 Design Awards for the Open Design category. I'm here with my fellow judges, Mark and Mark, and we're going to just briefly go around and introduce ourselves. So my name's Jen. I run Maker Kids. It's a makerspace for kids where we teach kids things like 3D printing and robotics. We also train educators and write curriculum for clients like Intel and 3D Systems. And here we are in Maker Kids. This is our inventors workshop, our possibility wall with electronics, woodworking stuff, craft stuff, and kids projects here in Toronto, Ontario. Mark Hatch, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of Tech Shop here in San Francisco. I'll show you a quick view. I'm in the upstairs area. So we got laser cutters at the far end, down there, complete textiles lab, open space, plastics lab over my right shoulder, 3D printers towards the back, some startups and some offices behind me. And it's a little light today, not a whole lot of folks in, at least so far. So we got 8 of them across the US, dozens planned.
Awesome. Mark Argo?
Yeah, I'm Mark Argo. I'm a co-founder of Aesthetic Studios. So we're another Toronto-based company, and we do interaction design primarily for museums and science centers, designing and building exhibits. And we also play around a lot in the art and makerspace with some of our own personal projects. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. So we judge both the professional category and the student category for the Open Design Awards for the 2015 Core77 Design Awards. And during this Hangouts on Air, we're going to be presenting the winner, the runners-up for both categories, as well as the notables. And first, I think we're going to provide just our general comments and feedback on the overall group. So from my perspective, this was a great competition, lots of cool entries. It was really exciting to meet about them and chat about them with the two Marks here. There's some technologies that I'd seen before, some technologies that I'd never seen, and many that I'd like to learn more about. How about you, Mark Hatch? How'd you like it?
Well, I particularly like the hardware focus. There were, I think, a couple of software applications, which I also like, but being in a makerspace, I love seeing hardware, and being in Silicon Valley, we often always see is software. So it was kind of a nice mix across the board.
For sure. How about you, Mark Argo?
Yeah, I think what's really great about this category is you're starting to see a bunch of projects that are developed using tools that may have been generated from previous versions of products in this category. So this is where you start to see the effect of open source pieces of hardware and tools, then spooling out other pieces of open source hardware and tools, and that effect just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Awesome. So let's start announcing the results and talking about our feedback and ideas on the ideas that have been presented. So we'll start with the professional category, and we'll go with the note.
Drum
Sorry?
Roll.
Drum roll. We don't have any electronic drum roll, but here we are. So we'll start with the notables so we can add some suspense as you're waiting to hear who the runner-up and winners are. So we each chose a notable. We'll start with mine. So I chose a connected decor dish as my notable. This is a creation that's a very beautifully designed dish, something like what you might see in a crate and barrel. And when the user drops their keys into it, it lets someone at long distance with a matching dish know that they've arrived home. This is my understanding of it. And I thought that was really cool for a long distance relationship. And I like the fact that you could apply different rules to it using if this, then that. I'd love to see an interface where I could choose what actions might happen in my home or on my computer once I drop my keys into it. And Mark Hatch, do you want to tell us about your notable for this category?
Sure. I liked Avocado, the software applications for mobile development. It solves a real problem for designers that don't have coding experience, but still want to be able to do something better than just a wireframe or post-it notes and so forth. And so I loved it. It was a nice, elegant design, very simple kind of drag and drop types things with some fairly sophisticated types of actions that would actually take quite a bit of coding to make happen. So I thought they did a good job understanding what the problem was, a good job with the interface itself. And though it's a limited kind of market, I think for those that care in this particular space, it would be a very useful tool.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mark Argo?
Yeah, so the project that I liked is called Sir Trevor, and it's a content publishing platform and tool. And the thing I really liked about it was that there's a really wide group of people who have content out there to share, like whether you're telling a story or it's journalism or sharing something as simple as a recipe. And this particular project was very, very simple, very straightforward, very elegant, and most importantly, it generated a responsive design, which is important these days to make sure that your content can be readable on both computers as well as mobile devices. It was very, very straightforward, and I think something that's a tool that's that straightforward and general purpose can be really powerful.
Excellent. So those are our notables for the professional category of the open design competition. And now we're going to get into our runner-up, and our winner. Before we do that, I'm going to let you know the judging criteria that we use to come to this. So to summarize, I would summarize it in 3 main categories. Number 1 is the problem that they chose to go after and their intent to do so. So what type of problem were they trying to solve? Number 2, their process and how well they did at creating their project. We also were checking to see if the projects fit the open design category of providing something that allows others to create and sharing the instructions. And then the 3rd was value impact and related to stakeholders, trying to help others. How does this project earn its keep? And we were checking out the different projects, their videos, their PDFs that they submitted, and also looking them up online. So without further ado, we are going to announce the runner-up, which is Spring Lift. Spring Lift is a sitting desk that easily transforms into a standing desk using a weighted system. And something that I liked about this was that I've never seen anything like it before. And I think it's a great idea. Why have a sitting desk next to a standing desk when you can have it all in one, including shelves that stack and continue to store your things? How about you, Mark Hatch? What are your comments on this?
I particularly like the simplicity of the use, where you literally just take a hold of it and move it down, or take a hold of it and move it up. There's no latches, there's no clasp, there's nothing. It's just a very, very simple, elegant type of approach to the actual functionality. I also, the complicated nature of it grew on me. And initially, I was like, this looks pretty sophisticated and complicated, but then I like, no, it's kind of a fun design. And I like the fact that he did the background on finding out what other types of systems there were before he chose this particular design.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like the at least the choices of materials for the project, he really makes it seem like it's something I can go down to my local hardware store, pick up the parts, and go ahead and start building my own standing desk. And I think that this is a fairly contemporary issue that is really great that there's a design out there that could help us make one on our own, which is something I might be interested in doing.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get to the winner, just a brief sideline. Would either of you like to say anything more about the judging criteria or how we chose the runner-up and the winner?
No, not particularly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
Cool. I summarized it well, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So that was just a little delay to get those viewers, heart rate racing to see who the winner is. And the winner is Gigabot. So Gigabot is a massive 3D printer, which is networked. And some of the things I liked about it are the fact that it has an app that you can use to control the 3D printer from afar. And also it is cat proof. Unlike a lot of other 3D printers, which can be dangerous for kids and cats, it seemed like Gigabot has this figured out. It's also, one of the biggest 3D printers on the market and open source. And so those are some of the things that I liked about it. How about you, Markat?
Well, it's important that it has a heated bed because that helps with the final print quality and getting it adhered to the platform itself. I also like that it's already out in the wild. There are like 100 of these that have been built or sold across the world. And it solves a problem in that a lot of 3D printers are just not functional because they're too small. You can't get the object that you're trying to build without doing multiple components. So I think it's a very good example of a large format open source 3D printer. It's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, I can almost hear myself saying, "Oh no, another 3D printer project." But I think this is a pretty good one. The fact that all of the components, hardware and software, are all open source, it gives it a lot of power, and something like that the fact that it uses a large bed really opens the door for small scale manufacturing. How can you purchase a machine like this because the plans are open? It gives you some ability to kind of customize it towards the needs of your product run, but it's of a decent enough size that it could potentially be usable in that scenario. I liked it.
Excellent. All right. So any other comments about the professional category before we move on to the students?
No, I think we saw a lot of really great projects, and I think the thing that really shone through for each of these projects is the ones where a lot of effort was put into the documentation, and particularly making it really clear as to how you could go about getting your hands on the materials and putting these pieces together.
Yeah, I think there's some pretty cool projects that people who see the design awards and will actually go in and do. So it's nice that they're accessible and the plans are there to actually use. It's pretty cool.
For sure. Great. And now moving on to the student category. So the student category blew us away. The projects were amazing. They were amazing across both categories, but especially students balancing coursework. It's amazing that they were able to make things like this. So there were some tough decisions for us to make. Anything else you guys want to say about the student category overall?
What really impressed me was the kind of the social awareness aspect of a lot of the projects. I think this kind of really fits right with the heart of what the open design category is meant for, or where that power can really be harnessed in order to make positive change. And I feel like a lot of the student projects, that was really centered to what their project was about. That was quite impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the level of sophistication for these projects was something of a surprise. I was not anticipating when I initially opened up the judging panel to see this high of a quality. And so across the board, it was phenomenal. Very competitive.
Great. So similar to the other category, we had some notables and then our runner-up and our winner. So let's start with the notables. So the notable that I chose, we chose two for this category. The one that I chose was Give Me Shelter, which is essentially shelters for feral cats. They've made the plans available online, and it's very cheap to be able to build one of these shelters for a cat. And they very nicely demonstrated what the problem was and how their solution can help with it. Mark A., do you want to talk about our other notable?
Yeah, the other notable was called UNA, that's UNA. And this was a project out of the New Jersey Institute of Technology. And it's a system or a platform for, I guess, taking some sophisticated science-related concepts and bundling them down into cost-effective little kits that could be used, ideally, I guess, with emerging countries in mind, but pretty much anywhere. There's a couple things about this project that really kind of touched my heart, that I think could really turn into something big. But there's also with something as kind of critical as education. I mean, there's a lot of thought that has to go into it in order to make sure it's truly impactful. But I was really quite impressed with the solution proposed in UNA.
Great. So the runner-up that we chose for this category is called Open Knit, and basically picture 3D printing but for knitting. As far as we could tell, it's something where you can basically create a design and then it will automatically knit it for you. This is something that's very cool. I think I've seen it or something like it at Maker Faire Rome, and it's really neat to think about how you can apply. They said they applied the RepRap technology to this, or the mentality, and yeah, the ability to make custom clothing. How about you, Marquette?
So I loved Jane Barnes' sweaters that are, and her design processes. She uses robotic looms out of Japan, and they make really very sophisticated types of sweaters. And so I love to see this kind of commercialization of a knitting version of that that's accessible to a typical retail type of a customer, and that it's open source so you can build it yourself. It's just kind of it's very cool. And so, yeah, the ability to do design and create your own knit sweater in like an hour is pretty cool.
Yeah, from what I remember, I've personally never knitted, but from those I know who do, I know that the process is just as important as the object that you're knitting. There's a lot of joy that comes out of the act of knitting, but you can't deny the functionality of an object like the Open Knit project, nor can you overlook how cool it is to kind of take things from the 3D printing community and then start to apply them to other disciplines. It's very, very inventive and could really open up, again, small scale manufacturing. Could it be empowered by projects like this? I think so.
Great. And without further ado, we'll announce the winner. We don't have much time left for our broadcast, but let's make sure that we give a big round of applause at home to the IKO Creative Prosthetic System. This was a really cool project that we were blown away by. As I can understand it, and guys, feel free to add your understanding, it's prosthetic arms for kids where you can embed or add on Lego and then program it to control it. So using Lego Mindstorms and other technologies. So in my eyes, this is basically turning kids into superheroes. It allows them to, have a really cool prosthetic arm with rotating Lego, lights, etc. And I think it's a great way for kids to learn technology and, have fun and interact with other kids. How about you, Marquette?
Well, and I love the video that they included, including the disabled child's friends in the play activity of creating, whether it was I don't know, a lunar lander or a steam shovel type thing on one. And so it's kind of I don't know, it's a fabulous project, and it's a nice way of helping kids feel better about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like a prosthetic is a design object that's about almost as personal as you can get. And what they've done is they've found a way to also make it really fun. How can you take this object that you kind of need to wear for mobility's sake, and turn it into kind of this inclusive exercise where you can invite your friends over to kind of help you craft some new robo appendage. It's pretty fun. It's a very exciting use of all the technologies involved. It's a great project.
Yeah. So that's about it for the competition. We loved seeing all the different projects and judging them. I'd like to thank Core77 for inviting me to be jury captain. I'd like to thank my fellow judges, Mark and Mark, for agreeing to come on board to the open design team. And I'd like to thank the Core77 team for organizing such a cool competition, and especially all the entrants for coming up with such awesome designs, submitting them, and most importantly, making them available to the world so that those at home can also check out the entries and make versions of the projects themselves. So, yeah.
Cool. Signing off.
Bye, everyone.